How prepared are you for the upcoming Atlantic hurricane season? We are getting closer to the start of the season, which begins on June 1, so now is the time to get prepared. Hello and welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Coming up, preparedness tips for the upcoming hurricane season, plus a reminder of why the care and protection of children is everybody's business. Stay with us. The details come your way right after the news of the day.
How well do you know your child? What he or she likes or dislikes? Favorite food or color? How about who their friends are? Make the time. Get to know your child. It helps to build their relationship. Makes it easy to keep them safe, and it helps their development process.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JIS News for Thursday, May 14. Cabinet has approved proposals to amend the Child Care and Protection Act and the Criminal Justice Administration Act to bring about stiffer penalties for persons who abuse children or fail to protect them. Information Minister Senator Sandria Faulkner says Cabinet has also called for action to impose stiffer penalties on persons who murder, rape or commit other serious violent offences against children.
The victim's status as a child will be treated as an aggravating feature, resulting in a substantial uplift in the sentence on conviction.
Senator Faulkner was speaking at this Wednesday's Jamaica House media briefing. She said the Child Care and Protection Act was also being amended to insert parental neglect and failure of an adult to report suspected exposure of a child to sexual or other abuses.
Efforts are being made to ensure that cases relating to violence against children will be afforded priority scheduling and disposal in the courts.
The developments come less than 2 weeks after Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller promised legal changes to ensure parents would think twice before hurting a child. Far fewer Jamaicans are finding themselves in jail since government introduced its new policy to decriminalize the possession of 2 ounces or less of ganja. The Dangerous Drugs Amendment Act 2015 came into effect on April 15 this year. But National Security Minister Peter Bunting says the number of arrests have actually been going down since new regulations for dealing with persons in possession of small quantities of ganja were issued to police officers in September of last year.
We have had over 1,000 fewer persons arrested and charged for ganja every single month since that time. Since the beginning of this year, year to date, relative to last year, we've had about 5,000 fewer persons.
The National Security Minister was addressing citizens on the new ganja legislation at a community sensitization meeting in Orange Hill, Westmoreland. $38.2 million will be spent to develop a modern public transportation center in Linstead, St. Catherine. At the recent contract signing ceremony, Minister of Water, Land, Environment and Climate Change Robert Pickersgill said the facility would create jobs and improve mobility for residents.
When completed, I firmly believe that it will provide for a more organized public transportation system and should ease the pressure in the town, particularly during peak hours.
Construction will be undertaken by Black Brothers Incorporated Limited. When it's completed, the transport center will be able to accommodate 400 public transport operators. Government is reporting that the necessary regulations are in place to ensure a seamless transition to the introduction of number portability on May 31. Number portability will allow Jamaicans to move from one service provider to another while retaining their mobile and fixed telephone numbers. It was revealed at a JIS think tank session earlier this week that service provider licenses have already been issued to number portability administrators who will be regulated by the Office of Utilities Regulation.
It means, therefore, that all the enforcement powers that are currently existing in the OUR will become applicable to that number portability administrator as well as the service providers.
The Technology Minister, meanwhile, said the amended Telecommunications Act would give legislative support to effectively manage and regulate number portability.
It is through that why I can declare that all the players will be on board, because there will be severe penalties if they fail to come on board.
The Institute of Jamaica's technological capacity is being enhanced through a partnership with the Japanese government.
So between the government of Japan, which is giving us about $480,000 US, and our own government with 46 million Jamaican dollars in terms of our capital budget, that museum, that Natural History Museum of Jamaica, will be built this year.
Of that amount, $60,000 US will go towards creating life-sized models of the plants and animals at the Natural History Museum. The funding will also cover the upgrading of the audiovisual capacity of the IOJ Lecture Hall and the establishment of an information technology training facility at the Junior Center. And finally, close to 10,000 Jamaicans have received medical care from the USNS Comfort under its program Continuing Promise 2015. A ceremony to close out the week-long work of the Naval Hospital ship was held on Wednesday at the U.S. Embassy.
Thank you for partnering with the government of Jamaica to address some of the pressing social needs of our people and to provide service to the most vulnerable among us.
More than 100 medical engineering personnel provided assistance on board the ship as well as at 2 locations on land. Medical services included optometry, dental, internal medicine, pediatrics, physical therapy, basic laboratory studies, and pharmacy. On the ship, surgical services were provided for persons pre-screened by the Ministry of Health and local hospitals. Jamaicans also received radiology and CAT scans from USNS Comfort. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
Over the years, May has been used to sensitize the public on the importance of being prepared for a hurricane. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management will be building that awareness throughout the month under the theme, Disasters Are a Reality, Make Preparedness Your Responsibility. To make sure you're prepared, we have some critical tips to share.
A hurricane is a tropical storm with winds reaching a constant speed of 119 kilometers or 74 miles per hour or more and may extend outwards by 483 kilometers or 400 miles. Hurricanes blow in a large spiral around a relatively calm center known as the eye, which is generally 20 to 30 miles wide. Described as the greatest storm on Earth, hurricanes rely on the warm, humid air above the tropical Atlantic. They usually start in an area over the warm ocean where winds coming from different directions converge. As the air rises around the storm center, it begins to cool. This cooling mixture condenses to form clouds and rain. It is always wise to have a disaster plan before the storm, so at the start of the hurricane season, you should know your risk. If you live in a flood-prone area, identify a place where you could go if you need to evacuate. Find out the location of the nearest emergency shelter. Trim trees that touch power lines. Inspect your house. If your house is made of wattle and daub or lumber, check the base for moisture and inspect for rot. If any of the two are found, do quick but good repairs. Check insurance coverage. Meet with your insurance agent or broker and go over your policies and coverage to avoid any misunderstandings. Clear your yard and drains of debris. If you own a boat, find a place to move it in an emergency. When a hurricane forms within the vicinity of the Caribbean, The Meteorological Office will issue reports about its strength, speed, and direction. It is advised that persons should listen to their radios to get updates on the intensity of the system. These advisories are given every 6 hours or more frequently if the situation demands. When the hurricane becomes a threat, a hurricane watch is issued, and when the system intensifies, a hurricane warning is issued. During a hurricane watch, it is time to start preparing by purchasing necessary supplies and securing your home. At this time, you should check your supplies, your family plan, and try to refill medical prescriptions, especially for persons with asthma or hypertension, which may be aggravated during this time. You should also listen to the radio or television for hurricane progress reports. Secure canned and non-perishable food. Store valuable and personal papers in a waterproof container on the highest level of your home. Fill your car with gas and check your battery, water, and oil. Store drinking water in clean bathtubs, jugs, bottles, and cooking utensils. Pack a survival kit and be prepared to take action if the watch changes to a warning. When there is a hurricane warning, there is a shorter time for preparing, as it means that hurricane conditions will affect the island within 24 hours. If you are between 7 and 9 months pregnant when a hurricane threatens, there are certain precautions you should take, as many women are known to go into labor during this time. Be sure to have necessities for the birth of the baby and for yourself packed in a waterproof bag or plastic. Take them with you wherever you go. Get company if you live alone. Move closer to the hospital or nursing home where you are to be delivered. Keep an extra supply of any special medication you will need. Visit your doctor or midwife before the hurricane strikes if possible to ensure that your baby and yourself are fine. And keep calm. It is very important for both you and the baby.
Basically, get canned goods. We'd have charge some extra battery for our phone, get a radio and stuff like that. They say you're supposed to know a route, different routes out of your community in case one route gets blocked, you know. Just be well informed of what's going on.
Well, you make sure that you have enough food, like tin food, water, candles, stuff like that. So when light gone, and a battery radio. Yeah, stuff like that. Make sure the windows are battened down.
Boards to back up the windows. They get oil, that's kerosene oil. You get some coal. You get blankets.
And try to put like the things in plastic, like clothes and those things, and check the house to see if the roof's secure.
Prepare food kind, water, and electricity will be out, so you would prepare candles, and if you have a lamp, you buy your kerosene oil and etc.
First and foremost, food is very important, so you stock up on canned food.
A bill entitled An Act to Amend the Constitution of Jamaica to provide for the replacement of appeals to Her Majesty in Council with new provisions for appeals to the Caribbean Court of Justice as Jamaica's final appellate court and for connected matters read a third time and passed.
Clad in black robes walking briskly to and from courthouses, it's often easy to spot a judge. They're the ones who make decisions that can alter people's lives. The Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, runs on the power of several such judges who serve the needs of the region. Hello and welcome to part 2 of a 3-part series on the CCJ. This week we'll explore the appointment of president and judges and explore how the CCJ is funded. Stay with us and get the facts. Credible and trustworthy with years of experience under their belts, the judges of the CCJ represent a distinguished class of the Caribbeans as well as the world's top adjudicators. Since the installation of the CCJ in 2001, 2 presidents have been appointed. Past President, His Lordship the Right Honorable Mr. Justice Michael de la Bastide from Trinidad and Tobago, and current President, the Right Honorable Sir Charles Michael Dennis Byron from St. Kitts and Nevis. Sir Charles Byron is a graduate of the Cambridge University and is a barrister at law and solicitor throughout the Leeward Islands. He was appointed High Court Judge of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court in 1982. In 1999, he was appointed Chief Justice of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, and while acting as Chief Justice, he launched the Commonwealth Judicial Education Institute. On the international stage, he served as a judge of the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. In 2000, he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth and appointed a member of the Privy Council in 2004. Sir Charles leads a team of 7 judges, among them the first female justice, the Honorable Madame Justice Desiree Bernard from Guyana, and the Honorable Mr. Justice Winston Anderson from Jamaica, former Executive Director of the Caribbean Law Institute Center in the Law Faculty at the University of the West Indies, Mona.
The court has judges who are appointed from a regional institution called the Regional Judicial Services Commission, which ensures that they are not politically connected or in any way unsuited for the job. They're some of the best minds, legal minds in the region.
Judges remain in office until the age of 75 and in special cases may remain for an extended period to deliver judgment or deal with part-heard proceedings for cases in which they played an integral role. The President also remains in office until the age of 75 or a maximum of 7 years, whichever comes first. Presidents only serve 1 term in office. However, they, like judges, may be asked to demit office for reasons such as misbehavior or if they are unable to fulfill the duties of the office. The pool of judicial talent and perspective at the CCJ is supported by the latest technology. The Trinidad-based court boasts well-equipped libraries, a spacious conference and robing room, and a courtroom outfitted with modern electronic equipment.
The court uses audiovisual technology to allow persons who have a case before the court to do many of the matters and procedures without having to actually be where the court sits, because they can stay in their home jurisdiction and the matter can be heard audiovisually through video technology.
Mr. Justice Ralston Nelson explains that the court is funded by a trust which began with a $100 million injection.
The CDB, that's the Caribbean Development Bank, borrowed on the capital market some $100 million US, backed by a sovereign guarantee of each of the participating territories. And what happens is that the sovereign governments each year will pay part of the sort of annual sum of capital and interest, which is due to pay back that loan.
Money from the trust fund is invested both internationally and regionally, and the proceeds are used to fund the operations of the CCJ. In this way, CCJ expenditure, including the payment of judges, is not dependent on regional governments. Jamaica is among the territories which help to service the initial CDB loan each year. The trust fund is managed by the CCJ's Board of Trustees, whose members are taken from regional, financial, legal, and civil bodies. The group is spearheaded by its chairman, Dr. Rollin Bertrand. The board disburses funds for court business and manages the CCJ's investment portfolio on international financial markets. And that's all the time we have for this edition of Get the Facts. Join us for part 3 when we'll delve into the progress of the Caribbean Court of Justice since its installation and look at the promising future of the regional court. For more information on the CCJ, visit their website, caribbeancourtofjustice.org. The CCJ, your people, your region, your court. Thanks for watching.
The care and protection of children cannot be overemphasized as we continue to hear of horrifying things happening to them. And don't believe for one moment that it's a cliche to say that it's everyone's responsibility to see to their care, because by law it is. Seeing, hearing or knowing of abuse and failing to report it is an offense.
Hey Sam, what's poppin'? We are check out in the paper. I mean there.
Not today,
Skip around.
I still get to that page.
Sam, I want to go on over next door to put their ball down the place.
My dear, only God can save that baby there. Because every night and every day is just beer balling and his beer boof baff like his mother kill him with lick, you know.
So what you are going to do about it?
What me must about it? After it's not my business.
I know for your business? No. You never know, sir. If you know or suspect your child is being abused or neglected, you must report it to the police or the Office of the Children's Registry.
A lie.
And if you know about the abuse and you don't do nothing about it, you can be fined $500,000 or spend 6 months in prison or both.
What you say? Me never know about that.
You stay there. You never hear the saying, ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law.
And the law is very clear. The care and protection of our children is everybody's business. Under the Child Care and Protection Act, each of us has a role to play, whether you're the parent of a child or just his neighbor.
What is the role of the Office of the Children's Registry under the Act?
Well, under the Child Care and Protection Act 2004, basic role is to collect, assess, and disseminate in terms of referral cases of children who are abused in Jamaica to partner agency for investigation.
And Mr. Sandcroft, what about the CDA?
Child Development Agency mainly has responsibility for care and protection of children who come to us via abuse or other avenues.
What would be considered child abuse?
Child abuse constitutes in terms of physical, sexual, emotional abuse, and in terms of also, to some extent, neglect, and also care and protection.
How do I know if a child is in need of care and protection?
Or there is a checklist under the Act. If the child has parents, or whether he has parents or he does have parents, and he seems to be in need of care and protection, there's a number to call, 188-PROTECT, and your advice as where to go from there.
What are the duties of every adult when they see a child in need of care and protection?
Well, under the Child Care and Protection Act, in terms of mandatory report, that all citizens do have obligations and the right to make these calls to report of children who are in need of care and protection.
What are some of the penalties under the Act for parents or guardians?
Okay, under the mandatory reporting section, which is Section 6, and under Section 8, which deals with cruelty to child, when Section 9, the penalty is $500,000, $500,000, or 6 months imprisonment.
How often do these cases go to court?
Well, many matters are brought before the court. They have been successfully prosecuted. Most are given probably a 3-month sentence, because, or sometimes it can be given both the fine and the sentence. So it is working, it's in place.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. They say it takes a village to raise a child. It's an old West African proverb that's still very relevant in Jamaica today.
The Child Care and Protection Act emphasizes that the duty to protect children rests not only with the family, but with all members of the society. If you know or suspect that a child is being abused, report it to the police or the Office of the Children's Registry by calling 1-888-PROTECT. That's 1-888-776-8328. You don't have to give your name.
Remember, the care and protection of all our children is everybody's business.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries has been encouraging more youth to become involved in agriculture and pursue careers in agriculture-based industries. And I believe young people are getting the message, with a few of them already making positive steps in the business. Take Mahalia Gordon, for example, a teenager whose love for cooking led her to create a natural blended sauce using Jamaican seasoning straight from the farm.
Seeking a career in agriculture? Well, there are several options. Truth is, there are so many areas that one can be involved in than just farming the soil and rearing animals. And as the government continues to establish and maintain initiatives to ensure a steady inflow of young talent in the sector, we highlight Mahalia Gordon, whose passion is linked to the soil.
This is my product. This is a natural seasoning, and it is called Everybody's Natural Blend. It has a blend of ingredients such as escallion, garlic, thyme, ginger, pimento, pepper, garlic, and it is preserved with natural ingredients such as vinegar and salt, and it has a shelf life of a year.
In supporting our farmers, Mahalia uses locally grown produce to make this authentic Jamaican product.
I will show you how I prepare Everybody's Natural Blend. First, I would get the produce. Secondly, I would prepare them by washing, cleaning them up, and then chopping them up. So now we're adding the onions to everything, but this is not everything in the bowl, but because of time today, I won't do all of that. So I will show you now the pureed form, which is this, after which I would butter. Then we seal the bottle and then add our label, and then the product, Everybody's Natural Blend, is ready for the market.
Mahalia chose to tap into the agro-processing market because of her love for food preparation. Already, her condiments and sauces have been tested and approved by the Scientific Research Council, SRC.
I found myself loving to cook and basically trying out new stuff, experimenting on foods and different things. So the conceptions all started when I was home and I had meat to prepare. So I wasn't really in the mood to cut up and dice the scallion, the garlic and all of those. So I just decided to do a blend, just blend everything together and just do one blend. And this is a very convenient way for householders, housewives and others to, you know, get one blend in a bottle and just use it to season your meat, your fish or your poultry, just like that.
Although she's very business-minded and eager to put Everybody's Natural Blend on the local and international markets, Mahalia finds time to be a normal teenager.
Throw the forward now. And stop going like you're cute.
Don't sit down right there, so I'm going to give some joy. Mahalia, she's a crazy person. When I say crazy, I mean like, she always giving me jokes.
Really and truly, I tend to be in my book at times, but then again, I have to enjoy myself, well, I'm a fun-loving person, down to earth. I like to listen to music, reading, like to socialize with my peers.
Also a foodie, Mahalia is thinking of furthering her education at the University of Technology Jamaica UTech or at the College of Agriculture, Science and Education CASE. Her interest is to explore her creativity in the food industry by creating new products and services. Either of the two institutions will certainly provide the guidance necessary for her to exploit her budding business.
A few years from now, I see myself as a big entrepreneur. I'm planning to branch off into hot and spicy. Some persons don't like pepper, so I am thinking of doing non-peppery, peppery, and also try to include other ingredients that are unique. For example, basil and those kind of herbs.
Big dreams being facilitated through agriculture. This expansion means Jamaican farmers will have to grow more so that more local produce will be used in authentic sauces like Mahalia's and others, and in doing so, we buy Jamaican and build Jamaica. Young people continuing the growth of the agriculture sector into the future.
This is how we close the show for today, but you can stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. Keep sending your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or tweet at JIS News. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same station. On behalf of all of us here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.